I promise you've never heard this story about one of history's most infamous leaders, Napoleon Bonaparte. Yes, that Napoleon, the military genius, Emperor of France, and one of the most ambitious figures in European history. But today, we're not talking about his conquests, his exile, or even his comeback. Nope. Today, we're diving into the strange, absolutely bizarre day when Napoleon was overrun by bunnies. Yes, you heard that correctly. Grab some snacks, settle in, and let's get into this quirky tale of history, because you're not going to believe how this one turns out. The year was 1807. Napoleon was at the height of his power. After signing the Treaty of Tilsit, which temporarily brought peace between France and Russia, Napoleon decided it was time for a little celebration. After all, what's the point of being one of the most powerful men in the world if you can't indulge in a little fun? In this case, fun came in the form of a grand rabbit hunt. Now, Napoleon's chief of staff, Alexandre Berthier, was tasked with organizing the event, and Berthier, wanting to ensure it was a hunt worthy of the emperor himself, went all out. He set up an enclosed area and stocked it with rabbits for the big day. But Berthier didn't just get a few rabbits, he gathered thousands of them. Accounts differ on the exact number, but some sources say there were as many as 3,000 bunnies waiting for Napoleon and his crew. The day of the hunt arrived, and Napoleon, along with his generals and other dignitaries, assembled for what was supposed to be a delightful and leisurely outing. Imagine the scene: top military brass in their finest attire, a picturesque field prepared for the occasion, and Napoleon, the man who had defeated entire armies, ready to take on some rabbits. But here's where things start to go hop-ping mad. Instead of fleeing as they were released, the rabbits did something no one expected. They charged. Yes, the rabbits charged at Napoleon and his party as though they were staging an uprising. And no, this wasn't an isolated bunny or two leading a courageous revolt. It was an entire tide of determined, fluffy aggressors bounding toward them. For a moment, it seems everyone was frozen in confusion. After all, who expects to be attacked by rabbits? But as the furry horde kept advancing, panic broke out among the party. Napoleon himself, legend has it, tried to fend off the attackers with a riding crop, but it didn't help. These rabbits were relentless. Now, you're probably asking, why? Why would rabbits, usually considered shy creatures, attack one of the most powerful men in the world? As it turns out, Berthier's plan was to stock the field not with wild rabbits, but with tame, domesticated ones. These bunnies were used to being fed by humans. So, instead of fearing Napoleon and his party, they associated the group with, well, lunchtime. As soon as they saw the emperors and his friends approaching, their instincts kicked in. They weren't staging a revolution, they were staging a buffet. Napoleon and his party did their best to retreat, but the rabbits just kept coming. They supposedly swarmed the party's carriages and tried to climb aboard. In some versions of the story, Napoleon was forced to retreat to his carriage, where he and his men had to shoo the rabbits away as they made their getaway. Imagine that, Napoleon Bonaparte in full retreat from bunnies. Eventually, the party managed to escape the relentless hordes. But the story of the Great Rabbit Hunt has lived on, offering us a rare, almost comical glimpse into the life of one of history's most enigmatic figures. For all his military genius, for all of his political savvy, even Napoleon couldn't outmaneuver a determined gang of rabbits. This tale is often passed over in the history books, probably because it doesn't fit with the narrative of Napoleon as a fearsome and indomitable leader. But it shows us something essential. That history, like life, is full of surprises. One moment, you can be at the height of your power, commanding armies and reshaping continents. The next, you can find yourself fleeing from a battalion of bunnies. So the next time you think of Napoleon, remember this story. Yes, he was a military genius, a statesman, and an emperor. But he was also human, and his life had its fair share of absurdity. And maybe, just maybe, it's those moments of absurdity that make history so fascinating. They remind us that even the most towering figures aren't immune to the whims of fate. or a well-fed rabbit on a mission. History isn't just about dates and battles. It's about the lives, quirks, and, yes, even the embarrassing moments of the people who shaped it. And that's why stories like this matter. They add depth to our understanding of the past and show us that no one, not even an emperor, is above a little humility, especially when it comes with a side of fluff and fur.